Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Let's see. Andy. Okay. Okay. Just requested that, okay. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Let me see. I'm trying to okay, I just sent it to him. He should be joining.
Dope.
Okay. Yes, sir, yes, sir. He should be joining now. Give it up for the special guest,
yo. Man, I'm sorry I'm late. Bro. Y'all on East Coast time. I'm on West Coast time.
Better do that right
now. Yes, sir.
Brother. Okay.
Just so you know.
What's up, man? A young beast.
What's happening with you?
Who just went off? What happened to?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it. I don't know if it'll let us have everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't mean for nobody to go off, so I could be on, bro.
Nah, I mean it was supposed to happen like that anyway. Somebody, so you can.
Oh, got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing all right, bro. And in the midst of some changes, I just relocated to Vegas. So
how's that been for you?
Well, I've only been here 3 weeks, so
dang.
I'm waiting for my house to escrow to close, and just my stuff is in boxes and all that kind of stuff, man.
That's crazy.
You just moving, man.
Yeah, more than I ever moved in my life in the last 5 years, bro. It's crazy. I was in LA my whole life, and then I went to Seattle, and now I'm here. So, but yeah, man, I heard a lot of the stuff you guys were saying, man, and you guys were really, really on point about everything you were talking about, man. So
I got a fun fact for everybody. So Gouche and my dad been boys for a long time. A long time.
I actually did a gig with your pops, man. I was out there in Oklahoma.
That's crazy.
Yes,
man.
sir.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, we go way back, man.
Wow.
That's wild, man.
But don't tell no more stories to make me feel like an old man.
Because I was definitely about to tell a story. I was about to say, No,
go ahead, man.
I think a lot of people, especially in social media world, because we have so much access now to people in different countries, that I don't think they realize just how deep the relationships run, and how, like how you were, labeled Godfather in like the 90s in baseball, you know what I'm saying? And to, guys like myself, rest in peace, Tim Ramsey, and Bubby Lewis, like you pretty much walked all of us into MTV, the GMWA days, back when you were, when you were the producer of the youth choir and stuff like that, like me, Thomas Pridgeon, Morris, Mike Reed, you know what I'm saying? Everybody that's doing so many things today.
Aaron.
We Aaron, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we owe so much to you, you know what I mean, to how much you poured and gave opportunities for so many years. And then for us to still have relationship in this day, you know what I'm saying? Like that means a lot for us to be able to give you, you know what I'm saying, give you your flowers, you know what I'm saying, while you still here.
Bro, bless you, brother. Yo, man, I'll never forget the first time when I came to do that first record. And I was amazed at how incredible all you guys were at such a young age, man. Yeah. And it was very inspiring for me, because I went to my first GMWA in 1976, and it was a whole different world. It was like on the older choir, the mass choir side, was a bunch of them dudes that were there when I first started going there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went over on the youth side, and it was a whole different universe, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because the older writers for the mass choir, they started coming over and snatching the young musicians to play on their songs. Because y'all had a whole different fire, bro.
Yeah.
That I remember telling somebody, I was like, there's nothing that I can tell these dudes to play that they can't play.
Yeah.
And like immediately. And I would have been over there 700 years trying to teach them old dudes how to play some of that stuff y'all play. And then to see you guys now, man, it's like, I feel like the proud uncle or something, you know what I'm saying? And you guys are all doing amazing, amazing things, man. Yeah, you saw that track that you did that I played for this church.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you did this one run, man, on there. I was like, well, I ain't gonna play that because I'm not exactly sure what he did, but I'll try to come as reasonably close to it as I can. But that's the blessing for me, man. It's, you know, and as you get older, there's no reason that you can't still grow. And so I see people like Frank, you, man, and I think I've listed you guys, like when I talk about who my favorite players are, man, you guys are, because it's funny because one thing that a lot of musicians cannot accept is the fact, reconcile, that's what I'm trying to say, reconcile themselves is to, one day you're not going to be the first call dude anymore, you know, because this thing has seasons. Just like everything else, like Michael Jordan retired, Kobe retired, Muhammad Ali retired.
Yeah.
But they had their season. And as a musician, especially a successful musician, it's really a trippy thing to think like one day I ain't gonna be the dude no more, you know? And but I feel like if your focus is just being the man, then you'll be messed up.
Yeah.
But if our focus stays on why we started in the first place, and why we started in the first place is because we loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all we did. We would play night and day, have jam sessions in the garage, at church, after church. Some of y'all have access to going to your church in the middle of the night and shed and all that kind of stuff. But then one day somebody pays you. And then you're like, wait, so hold up. So I can do what I love and get paid.
Right.
Man. And then the more success you get, then you can start losing. Your focus starts becoming on how much money you're making and not for the love of it. And I went through that. And it's way back for y'all. In 97, I was doing a gig that I hate because I needed the money. And there's no worse feeling than that, because we do what we do from our hearts, and how we perform is directly affected on how we feel inside.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this gig was a high profile R&B gig, man. And when I tell you I hated that gig so much, and I quit. And I said, I didn't start playing music to feel like this. And I quit, and I never looked back. And then I decided never again would I be someplace that I hated just for the sake of a check. And that's a hard thing to do too, man, because you know, you have to be, if you want to follow your convictions, sometimes there's consequences that go along with that, you know. And so you got to be willing to say, okay, maybe they won't call me, but I've been doing this. This year makes 49 years I've been playing, man.
Man.
Yes, sir.
And I look back and I feel good that I never compromised my principles and who I was for the sake of a gig, man. You know. But at the same time, I've been so blessed when people start asking me. I always feel funny when people be like, "Well, who have you played with?" And then I feel kind of self-conscious because I sound like I'm bragging when I'm talking, but I'm not bragging.
But it's just
true.
So,
so that part has been amazing. If I never did another gig my musical life has been absolutely amazing, man.
Yeah.
You know? And I say it all the time. I live in a perpetual state of gratitude because I understand that it didn't have to be me. You know, there's a million bad dudes that ain't nobody never seen, and it's just because it's just the grace of God, man, and of you being God putting you in certain places, man. And so I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to come over here and start the
No,
listen, you deserve the floor. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, man, and it's funny because the whole social media thing, you know, my age group is like, man, we're not doing that, you know, but I understand that this world has changed. It's changed drastically, man. I remember when the shift changed from analog to digital. And there was this gigantic fight. Like you had these dudes with these studios with them Studer tape machines in there. And they was like, man, I ain't never doing that, man. It don't sound as warm as analog does. But then I came to the realization that the people that buy records don't care. They don't care nothing about, and some of the records that I've heard, it's like two things going on the record. And they don't care. So anyway. Somebody else talk, man. I ain't talking no more. Go ahead.
Yeah, man.
Nah,
shoot,
right,
man.
No,
so. Oh, you got? Go ahead.
No. Sam, what you got for us, bro?
Oh no. So, one of the questions is, Gouche can definitely help with this one. How can a bass player improve their tone and their sound? And how long did it take you to develop yours?
Well, I think that tone is a matter of taste, you know. And I see a lot of people, you know, I don't comment on a lot of things that I see, you know, and it's all a matter of taste. Like Bubby uses flat wound strings, but he's killing.
Right.
And at the end of the day, my logic for the tone that I have, every time I play, I approach it like I'm playing a record. And I want what I'm doing to be able to be discerned in the midst of all the other things that are going on the record, you know? So you get a lot of dudes, man, they'll go, like you go in Guitar Center and you pick up a bass or you're sitting in the amp and you playing, and then the amp is killing or the bass is killing while you sit there by yourself playing. But then you go somewhere where you're playing in an actual band and you be like, man, something ain't right, you know? And then you start trying to, like I always see these posts about people taking their preamps out and putting different preamps in and all of that kind of stuff, man. And you wind up, and especially those dudes, and Justin, you can relate to this. When I see the argument of, I would never pay that much money for a bass, you know? But at the end of the day, a Ford is a good car. It'll take you where you want to go. It'll get you there, but it don't ride like a Mercedes. And so the people that have that argument wouldn't have it if they played those higher end basses that have all that stuff on it that they're trying to do. The beauty, and I ain't trying to just be on MTD, but that's, you know, I'm the one that coined that phrase MTD for life.
MTD for life.
And for me, I found a bass that no matter what situation I'm in, I can adjust it to be relevant to that situation, you know? And so, and I've seen there are a few people like Frank, I love your sound, man. Justin, you know, I love your Snoop. And I wish Snoop could still be on here, man.
Right.
There's just, it's a matter of taste, dude, you know? But if you approach it, like when you go listen to some records that are mixed well, and you hear how you can discern what everybody is doing on that record. That's the attitude you have to have playing live. You know?
Correct.
So, and that's what I did. I don't know how many records I've done, but coming up when I was younger, I learned about frequencies
Yeah.
because I could be in the studio and I'd hear them talking, and that's how I learned about 6K. 6K is my favorite treble frequency.
That's his sweetness.
And I'm gonna do a shameless plug for my new Mark bass
Yes.
signature amp. But my amp, and I can't wait for them to get on the market for everybody. It doesn't have bass, mid-range, treble. It has the actual frequencies that I like.
Okay.
So it has 6K for the treble, then it has 1 to 3K for the high mid, then it has 500, then it has 100, which is my favorite bass frequency,
Yeah.
and then it has 60, which is that low big booty whoop whoop,
Yeah.
you know.
That's
So
right.
that's what's on there, and
Nice.
a lot of it has to, when I hear people talking, is they haven't really learned how all the frequencies work, and it's all related. Like,
Yeah.
I will never get past the "I don't change my strings" argument. I can't, because to me that's like not changing your draws, man.
You hear me?
Because oil from your fingers get in there, and
Correct. Yep.
but there are some dudes, and I can't say any names. I can't stand the way their bass sounds, but they're so good. They play so well that I'm like, he doing his thing, and okay, that's not the sound that I would use, but that's cool because what I like is not going to necessarily be for everybody, you know.
True.
And so, but that's what I like about having a bass like MTD, having high end stuff, and at the end of the day, I would tell a lot of bass players, if you save up just a little more money and get an instrument that can do more, it probably evens out because you will have spent that much anyway with all the modifications that you're doing, And so,
like, I can definitely attest, to what Gouche is saying. Like, I don't travel as much, with my six. My six stays here in my studio. I travel more with my 5, but I literally can do anything that I need to with my basses. Like, I did a ballad last night with this, and because it's just so versatile. It's literally, I can get anything that I want out of it, and I can like tell a quick a tone story. I got my first MTD when I was in college, and it was me and Tim. Tim had his MTDs, I had my MTD, and I didn't know how I should dial in my tone. I'm still learning it. And I remember going to either GMWA or NAMM show, and I asked Gouche, I was like, how do you dial in the tone, like what does what on the bass? And that's one thing, like, learn what does what on your instrument.
Right.
If you had a Fender Jazz that's just volume tone, know what that tone does, know what it sounds like when it's in the middle, or if it's all the way up, or if it's all the way down. You know what I'm saying? Or know what your electronics do. And he told me, he was like, man, I had it wide open. I got treble up, mids up, bass up, and I let my fingers do the work. So that's how I played for a good 3-4 years. And then I was like, well, let me try to mess around with this here, mess around with this here, mess around with this here. So I used his tone as the blueprint, like as a starting point. And then I figured out what my tone was by just kind of like I remember sitting at home and said, what does this sound like? Okay, what does this sound like? All right, what does this sound like? What does this switch do? What happens when I do this? And it made me like, okay, I know what I'm looking for. And I would plug like directly into an interface. No amp. Like, let me hear what this bass sounds like by itself. No processing, no nothing. Because you plug into a dope amp, it's like, oh, this thing is killing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if you plug directly into an interface, no processing, you get to hear what your fingers and that bass does. You know what I'm saying? And I think the more records you do, the more you kind of dibble and dabble in different tones. You know, like I've done jazz records, R&B records, gospel, funk, Broadway. You know what I mean? To where I
Right.
like dial in so many different tones, you know, based on whatever I'm hired to do. You know what I'm saying? And as Gouche said, like depending on your instrument, pay that extra money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To you know, have something, and it doesn't have to be $20,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but pay that extra money to get something of quality, to be able to play something where they don't have to go in and process everything that you do.
Right.
You
And
know?
at the end of the day, quality costs more.
Yeah.
Period.
Big time.
Period. You know, and whatever it is, houses, you want to live in a doper neighborhood, it's gonna cost more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to the
Mm-hmm.
you don't go to the Mercedes dealership and be haggling. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Right.
be like,
Right.
because you know what you're getting. Frank, what bass do you play, man? Because I see you play different stuff. Like, what's your main bass?
Well, my main bass is bass mods bass.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then throughout the course of years, like I just kind of, you know, experimented with some different woods and different
Yeah.
pickups and such like that. But yeah, bass mods.
Yeah, I mean, they make great stuff, man, you know. But it's all a matter of, you have to understand what tone is first. You know, when I hear people say my sound, you know, my tone, I'm working on my tone, you really have to understand what that entails. And just what Justin said, that the best way is plug into an interface like that, or
Go straight. Mm-hmm.
into an amp with everything flat.
Flat.
Like everything
Yeah.
12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you find out. Because I started doing that, Justin, because when I first started playing MTDs and I started fiddling with it, and I just decided, okay, this is the way I like it when I turn everything up.
Yeah.
But then in later years, I've started like switching the mid-range switch and doing that kind of stuff, man, because the bass is much more versatile than I even realized. I just put it where I like it, and I put them all where I like it, and just go from there. But what you said makes a lot of sense.
Can I say this? Gouche, you're actually one of the reasons why, like, I really dove into like with my sound and stuff. Like, now I'm pretty happy with it. You know, we do the experimental phase and like try to find our sound. You know, because I'm sure there's a lot of people probably asking, well, how do I identify my sound? How do I do that or figure it out? You know what I'm saying? And I've always tell people, I'm like, man, you know, you kind of got to just really experiment, because our touch is different. Like, textures is different. Like, someone with fat fingers may naturally produce more low end than somebody with thinner fingers. Like, that stuff it really plays a part. Like, I could have Gouche's same settings and pull two bass players and may sound different.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I've seen that happen. Marcus at the NAMM show, when I first got my white bass, he came by the MTD booth, and I let him play it. He immediately sounded like Marcus. Yeah. Like, it sounded like Marcus's sound. And that's the thing too. So much of it is in your hands, man. Yeah. And in your hands doesn't just mean the size of your fingers. That has something to do with it. But it's your approach. People have different muscle memory, and people ask me, I use light gauge strings, and I tune down a whole step. And they're like, well, how do you do that? And it's not rattling. I said, because I don't play hard. Now I've seen people pick up my bass and play it, and I hear all that stuff when they're playing, man. But I don't play like that. And I play golf, and a guy was giving me golf lessons one time, man. He was saying, your swing basically stays the same, but you know, all the clubs are different. You let the clubs do the work. It's like, you ain't got to sit there and be like trying to, I hear people say, well, I like to dig in and grind. Well, okay, that's cool. I'll just turn my volume up. So Back in the day, I used to have gigantic calluses on my fingers, and because I played hard, I played like, and I didn't know anything about gauges of strings, and I was probably playing medium gauge strings, and my hands were super strong and all of that, but I had these gigantic calluses, and I have very little callus on my fingers now, and because you know, like they say, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right.
Correct.
Yeah. So I got a pretty funny thing to say. So in my household, we grew up on nothing but Gouche, like nothing but Gouche. So like I remember like my first time ever hearing Gouche was either probably some old James Moore or either one of my most memorable would probably be that Paul Morton album. Right. And the crazy thing is, I remember we went to go pick him up from the airport back in like 2008. He was in town with Shaka. And the crazy thing is, like, we ended up getting to the airport, you know, picking him up and stuff. So we smile and we all like just cheesing and stuff. So Gouche like, what y'all smiling for? I'm like, dude, you Michael Jackson.
The Gouche. Right.
I'm like, man, like, I was just like, huh? Like, yeah, that's him. And so we were just like crying, like, you know what I'm saying, like low-key crying and stuff. We like, that's Gouche. So we keeping it together. But I recently just picked this up about 5 months ago.
Ooh, Faithful Central.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was like the last copy they had, but I was like, yo, like I missed.
You got it for about 35 cents too, right?
No, they were actually charging me like, I think it was like 15 or something.
Wow.
Like, yeah, but nah, that's like, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Man, listen, you laid a blueprint for real, man. It's so dope to even just see, like, just when we got NAMM at the MTV booth or wherever, just to see the amount of people that just, you know, crowd around just because you've either impacted them, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, that's like a good example of like impact over impression. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, like, you're a phenomenal bass player, but it's like, man, like, you've impacted people. You've helped mold people's sound, you know, how they approach bass and just, or their mindset, their mentality, man. That's the kind of impact that, you know, I can speak for myself that I always want to have, you know what I'm saying? Like, even years to come, you know what I'm saying? Man, that's special.
But that is you guys now. You guys, it's funny when I hear somebody go, man, that James Moore album is the reason I